really just wanted to offer each of you an opportunity for some final comments. I'll start with you, Jeff, but really some reflections from you or insights as to over the next year what you see as the most exciting developments and opportunities, and equally the single biggest challenge for the sector in the 12 months ahead.
Yeah, I think what's promising is that we've shifted the dialogue from a single element of the energy mix to a much more holistic discussion. And that certainly has happened in the last 12 months. I don't think we would have had that discussion last year. We were concentrating on the type of generation only. So that's very positive, and we move into then all the different types of storage depending on what problem we're trying to solve. If it's at the minute range, at low power needs, or we're at the top end and we're looking for weeks of storage with large power, then the host of technologies that we can apply there is there. We just got to choose them. If you talk about challenges, I think the cybersecurity topic hasn't yet been fully explored in the country. The rest of the world is talking about it with a lot more vigour than perhaps we are. And the risk of that network being brought down because of all the power electronics on it by any sort of concerted effort in parallel is quite frightening. So that's a challenge. That's really a challenge I see that we've got to address.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you. Steve?
Well, I think for the sector as a whole, you know, we're very focused on the supply side and how the nuts and bolts of the mechanics of the wholesale and physical generation system work. Customers have very high expectations in terms of their engagement with the product, and I think we're going to start seeing a much accelerated pace of change in how customers engage with electricity. It's not so much that they're going to be boffins themselves, but they're going to start having devices that manage appliances, manage their storage, manage their buying and selling from the grid. And I think the whole power supply sector needs to get ready for a faster pace of change at all dimensions. And I do agree with Jeff on the security side. That's looming large.
Steve, is energy policy going to get off the front pages of the newspaper in the next 12 months?
No.
Yes, no? Okay, thanks. John, what excites you for the year ahead?
I think the scale that we've reached as an industry and the scale of projects that we can now deliver, I think means that we can make a real large contribution. And I think we should be looking at this emissions ambition in the context of the whole economy and Australia's Paris obligations. We can contribute where other sectors are going to struggle, and we can contribute on a large scale with very competitive results. So I think this is pretty exciting. I started interest in wind and solar back in the 80s, late 80s, 90s, and you could see the forecasts, but we're now in that steep part of the forecast where we're really deploying at scale. The competitiveness is really good. So I think that's exciting. The challenge, we've got to deploy well, and whilst the grid was picked up on the list of 5 things, there's a number of other critical things from community, for example, how we deploy. We need to do it well, we need to do it safely, we need to gather the right capabilities together to deliver this large program. But yeah, I think another key challenge is the neg as discussed previously.
Thanks, John. I'm sure Minister Frydenberg will be looking forward to hearing your views on the National Energy Guarantee at dinner tonight. Tim, exciting things over the next 12 months from your perspective, and what are the storm clouds?
I guess the big challenge that I see that the industry, and I use the term industry very broadly here, I think has started to get its head around is actually putting the consumer at the centre of all of this. And I think if we're very self-reflective, I don't think we've done a very good job of that collectively, and I say that collectively right across the energy supply chain. And we've seen very modest price reductions recently for the mass market segment, but I think we've got to do a much better job on focusing on energy efficiency and some of these other things that go to the heart of helping customers over time improve the outcome in terms of their share of wallet, because that's ultimately what they're really interested in. But as we progressively move towards a higher penetration renewable system, I think that the other really exciting thing is again, for the first time, I think in a long time, we're starting to see some financial market innovation in that middle temporal area. So we've seen the innovation through kind of new financing structures that go to a long-dated instrument, but we're now seeing the swap on the cap market start to rethink through about how those products might work. And if you look at, say, the structure of a cap product with its strike price, that really hasn't changed since the market start, and yet the market we're in is very different from the market that we started in. So just seeing those conversations start around, well, do we need to rethink these things through, I think is a great step forward, and I think that innovation in the financial market sense will be really important to get right so that it supports the type of market design reform that Audrey's talking about.
Thanks, Tim. Audrey, last word. What excites you over the year ahead and the big challenge?
Sure. So I think the most exciting thing is that I think as an industry as a whole, we're moving from actually thinking about debating issues to let's start resolving issues, because I think we've recognized the time is upon us to start making these step changes. Clearly the issue in terms of consumer orientation is critical. I mean, this is an industry that for the first time consumers have real alternatives in buying from the grid. So if the grid is not offering value, they're going to vote with their feet, and they've never really had that choice before, so we have to. But not only do we have to for that reason, we obviously have to because not having a strong energy economy, not having affordable energy impairs the rest of the economy as well. So we have to move in that direction. I think the things that I'm most excited about are getting some of these core policy decisions made. That's going to be important because it'll allow us to move on. I think we already have a lot of work underway in terms of how do we adapt the system. Work that the AMC that has been doing on frequency is very important. We're going to get that resolved. Thinking about how do we integrate demand to make the entire system more productive is out there and will get resolved. So all these things that we've been debating, I think we're going to start getting closure on and actually being able to act on. And I think if we can keep that oriented focus towards getting things done, it'll make things better, because I think just talking about it doesn't really help anyone anymore. The last thing, the point on cybersecurity, I agree on its importance. Actually, one of the things AEMO's doing is that we're leading an effort for a cyber uplift throughout the country, actually throughout the industry, to start looking at a framework analysis that puts us clearly, as good as anybody in terms of managing cyber. It's an unfortunate aspect of operating in business, and particularly this business, that we have to be best in class on cyber. So we're already started working with the industry to get us there.